But first of all this afternoon, have you ever had what I'm calling a Narnia moment? You know, when you've actually stepped through something into something you really didn't know was there, but actually when you got there, it was quite different, quite magical. Well, I had one of those last week. I was hoping to do a feature on the music scene back in the 1960s for this Talking History programme, and I was going to do it with Shaun Knapp, I beg your pardon, who's written a book on the subject. Well, we decided that we'd do our interview on Silver Street, which really was the heart of the music scene back then. And for ages, we'd been trying, without success, to get permission to have a look at the old Il Rondo ballroom. Now, this is now somewhere inside Prezzo's, the restaurant on Silver Street. Well, by complete chance, one of the management team, a certain Miguel Angelo, was outside at that moment, and he was happy to take us in and have a look at this amazing relic of the 60s scene, which is now a cluttered storeroom. So, here we are, our Narnia moment through the wardrobe with not only Miguel, but Leicester-born guitarist, singer, songwriter and filmmaker Kenny Wilson, Dr. Sue Barton, Leicester City Councillor and historian and writer, and of course, Shaun himself.
This was by far probably one of the most popular venues in Leicester. Next to De Montfort Hall, I would imagine, as you know, a lot of the bands played here, The Who, The Stones, Howlin' Wolf, an incredible roster of artists.
It's actually Prezzo's restaurant, isn't
Yes.
it? The building has become... But we've still got a little bit that reminds us of the old days where we are now, haven't we?
Well, it does, and loads of my guests come in here, especially to even see what happened to the building these days. But some of them just tell me they met the girlfriend here in the heydays, and they remember the high wedges, the miniskirts, the bands blaring, and all the people pushing each other to go to the stage, and... There was like motorbikes outside. There was the 60s music scene going on. And he's the oldest road in Leicester, from the Guildhall to the clock tower is Silver Street.
Yeah, I used to come here probably in the early 70s. The first time I came, it was I think it was Monday nights. They always had ska. And so there'd be a lot of West Indian music playing at the time, a lot of young West Indian people, but it was a way of hearing music that we didn't really hear anywhere else apart from sometimes at the Pally.
And Kenny, I mean, you must have been here performing?
Yeah, I did a couple of gigs here. I started coming in, about 1966, 67, and saw a lot of very good acts here. Julie Driscoll, the Brian Auger Trinity, they were great. Howlin' Wolf I saw here, and various other people. It really was a happening place where a lot of people came.
Yeah, no, I came mostly for discos. As I said, I used to come originally to the ska nights, but after that I started coming at the weekends when it was much more of an alternative scene, what people used to call hippies, but we didn't call ourselves that, other people did. That was the nice term. Usually it was just a bunch of weirdos playing awful music. But it was for me, it was when they had the discos on.
Shaun, I don't know whether you got in here when you were writing your book, but obviously this formed quite an important part of it, didn't it, the background?
Oh, this is amazing. It's so incredible to actually be here and actually see the stage where The Who played. It's just so amazing to believe that The Who played in such a venue like this, because it's not massive. It's not a massive place.
It's a shame that we couldn't do something, but it would have been nice we revive the venue here and put some posts of the bands that played, but that involves obviously some investment, and we don't know how much that's going to work back these days.
I just wonder if I can ask the three of you, we've had the stage mentioned, we've had the floor mentioned. I mean, just looking around, is there anything else about the decor of the building, actually the fact that we're in here now, we're experiencing again, that evokes any special memories? Kenny?
It's hard to say actually, because there was a big balcony at the top where there was a bar, and it does look quite different actually, but the stage area looks very much the same, so you can recognise it's the dance floor, but the actual stairway in, I've got a feeling that wasn't the stairway we used to come in. I think we came in from the other side.
I don't think I've seen it with the lights on. so I'm just seeing all the mouldings around the architrave at the top of the wall. I don't think I noticed that before.
Well, what about you, Shaun? Evoke any special memories?
Well, no, I've heard so many stories about the Il Rondo now, and it's just great to actually get in here and actually see the place in all of its kind of glory still. Even though it's basically a storeroom now, but you can still see how majestic it would have been at the time and how exciting it would have been as well. It seems as though the walls and the ceilings are still holding something. incredible place.
It kind of feels as though it's full of memories, doesn't it?
I've grown up listening to my brother John Knapp, who was in Ligay. I've grown up listening to his stories about the Il Rondo, and it's just so fantastic to get in here and have a look at it.
The memories that brings you along is how amazing, and through the modern days that people produce music with synthesizers and computers, and you see three guys in a stage, one with a drum, one with a guitar, and an amplifier and a vocal, and they create music that moves a crowd. It's something more amazing that I mean, there wasn't people synthesizing or equalizing it. It was how it comes out, and it was the real feel that dragged people here.
Oh, wow, yeah. A really amazing experience that inside the old Il Rondo. Now, this storeroom inside the restaurant on Silver Street. All those 60s ghosts there with not only Miguel, one of the management team, but Kenny Wilson, Sue Barton, and, of course, Shaun Knapp. And Shaun's book, High Flying Around, tells the story of really how vibrant the music scene in Leicester was during the latter part of the 1960s. And he tells it through the eyes of the people who were there. And his book, it's available from Waterstones, from Visit Leicester in Gallery Gate, or it's on Amazon. It's priced £14.99. And we'll have a further discussion actually with Shaun and Kenny and Sue about the whole music scene, not just Il Rondo, during now, if you were next listening week's Talking last week, History you may programme. remember I had my Narnia moment as, along with Shaun Knapp, Kenny Wilson and Sue Barton, I found myself transported back in time to the 60s and inside the old Il Rondo ballroom on Silver Street in the city. Il Rondo was at the heart of the 60s music and mod scene, and Shaun, who's written a book on the era, and songwriter Kenny and historian and writer Sue had met up with me to have a chat about what it was like in that area back 50 years ago. So, after the excitement of the Il Rondo experience, the four of us returned to our chat about those times, the era of flares and flip-flops, of mods and rockers. We were now outside again, just in front of Prezzo's, actually, on Silver Street, where Il Rondo used to be.
Silver Street was often seen as the Carnaby Street of Leicester. Everything was on here that you needed, to be honest with you, especially with the mods. You know, you had the Churchills and the Rondo, you had the Globe and the Antelope, you'd got the Irish in the Silver Arcade. So it really was. It was kind of like the epicentre of mod life. The Il Rondo really is quite legendary in Leicester's music history. Obviously, with the De Montfort Hall was the biggest venue, but a lot of the bands have actually wanted to play the Il Rondo because the atmosphere was better than the De Montfort Hall. But unfortunately, ticket receipts kind of cancelled that out.
So the history of this area, it's steeped in it, isn't it, musically?
As Shaun's just said, it was a epicentre of mod life in Leicester. It also then morphed into being the epicentre of the hippie alternative scene during the early 70s. So people's hair was obviously longer, flared trousers, a lot of flip-flops worn, so flipping up and down the street, and clogs. I don't know how we managed to dance, because I can't think how I'd even walk around with them on.
We went into the Il Rondo last week, but of the other places down here, which ones do you have any happy memories of, or any memories of, come to that?
The Churchill pub, which is now Spencer's. Young people used to congregate downstairs, and if it was raining, it really stank of Afghan coats because the cheap ones hadn't had the animal skins treated, so they didn't smell. So the smell was really unbearable at times. The other place we used to go to was the Globe, which obviously is still there, and also the Crown and Thistle around the corner, and a bit further along the magazine on Newark Street.
Kenny, it must bring back a hell of a lot of memories to you, doesn't it, standing here looking at all these places?
I came here from the mid-60s onwards. Just across the road there was a shop called the Gear Shop, and the person who ran that I still know now. Len Trevor, his name is. He still lives in Leicester. So the Gear Shop was there. The Irish was in Silver Arcade. We used to get quite a lot of stuff from there. Ron's Hairdressers on Churchgate. That was where we used to get a hair done. That was the in place. Further down the road, there was a brilliant cafe called the Green Bowler, and the Green Bowler was a real meeting place. It was very much a real mod place. Lots of scooters outside. Later on, they opened up a club upstairs called the Antiquity Club, and a lot of local bands played there, especially bands like Ligay and and various other sort of mod bands at the time. It was a great scene. Place. Oh, and just up the road from there was Breeze, record shop, and that's where I used to sort of go and listen to records and buy records.
Remember Breeze so well, yeah. It was a great place to browse and listen, wasn't it?
And listen,
little cubicles, you could go and listen to the stuff, put your headphones on.
Great stuff, yeah. You could, if a new record came out, you could all pack into the cubicle and listen to this record and then not buy it. So yeah, great fun. There was a lot of fun we had.
What about your music of the time?
Well, I was really into music. I was big friends with a lot of the musicians in town, especially Mick Peeney, who was a great guitarist, still is a great guitarist, lives in Germany now. A lot of the music I moved into was like the folk scene. The folk scene in Leicester at that time was amazingly good. I mean, there was a really good folk club upstairs at the Town Arms on Pocklington's Walk, where we used to go. There was a coffee bar called the Chameleon Coffee Bar, where a lot of people went with mutual interest in poetry and folk music and that sort of thing. Very much like a beatnik sort of hippie scene. That's what I was part of. I was part of the mod scene, in the mid-60s, and then I moved into like the artistic kind of hippie beatnik kind of thing.
What about your favourite music of the period? Is anything really stand out as stuff you loved?
A bit unusual because I had very sort of broad range. I always liked the alternative music scene. So although I like Pink Floyd and so on, I like Pink Fairies, and I also like reggae. And I worked in the reggae and soul departments of Advance Records.
Oh, so very.
So we sold a lot of imports.
Shaun, so back to you in terms of, I mean, you've written about this period, and hearing what the guys here are saying, so again brings back memories, but also I guess a lot of it is captured in your book.
Yes, it is. I mean, and this is the very reason why I wanted to write it in the first place, to capture all of these memories before they disappear, because the 60s was beyond doubt one of the most exciting decades. I mean, yearly it changed. From 64 onwards, every year changed. It brought something new, and a lot of people have said that you just didn't have the money to actually keep up with it sometimes, with the amount of records that were available, the amount of gigs that came to Leicester. I mean, it's incredible. We're standing outside the Il Rondo, and I'm just amazed that somebody like Howling Wolf actually played here. I'd give my back teeth to go and see Howling Wolf.
And Freddie King, a great blues player. Freddie King played at the Il Rondo as well.
Yeah. But I think, talking to people today, it was almost like it was nothing to see these bands at the Il Rondo. And once they played the Il Rondo, then a lot of them naturally went on to play the Montfort Hall because they got bigger and bigger. So it's great. I mean, it's fantastic. The stories of scooters parked outside here, little skirmishes with those pesky rockers. And it all happened down this road. But obviously Leicester had its own venues as well. As long with the Il Rondo, you had the Night Owl just around the corner, for example. And the Night Owl was the home of the All-Nighter. It's quite legendary in its own right. That was more of a soul venue, and some great bands played down there. Gino Washington, for example.
Georgie Fame.
Yeah, Georgie Fame.
Oh, Georgie Fame there,
Georgie Fame played there a lot, and Graham Bond, the Graham Bond organisation. It was a great time for live music.
A final memory from Sue and Kenny?
We used to speculate where people went in winter. There always seemed to be people out on the streets all the time, and it was always the same people. So you could walk down and you'd meet your friends every day. So if you were ever bored, you just had to come down Silver Street and you were bound to meet people you'd know.
One of the things I can remember, nothing to do with clubs or shops, it was the yard of the cathedral, and we used to take our guitars there and sort of and have our own sort of informal concerts. So and that really sticks in my mind. We used to do that quite a lot because quite often if we took the guitars into pubs, they wouldn't let us play. It's interesting. It wasn't there's a lot of music going on, but a lot of places didn't want live music. So a lot of the time we were playing outside. We used to play outside the cathedral. We used to go into the garden of the Old Horse on London Road and play there. Not buy a drink, of course. Just hide at the bottom of the garden.
That was Shaun Knapp along with Kenny Wilson and Sue Barton reminiscing on those 60s days. Shaun's book, High Flying Around, tells the story of the 60s music scene in Leicester during the latter part of the 1960s. It is available from Waterstones, or visit Leicester on Gallowtree Gate, or from Amazon. There's another book from Shaun coming next year, actually. It's a kind of second in a trilogy that he's putting together. Next year's book is about the mod scene in Leicester, and the third one is going to be on the lost pubs of Leicester. That's all to come, and I think I definitely can see a Talking History little series coming out on certainly on the lost pubs of Leicester related to that. So I'll be pinning Shaun down, see if he can come up with something. I just wondered, any memories of some of those places that were mentioned there? You know, Churchill's, the Magazine, the Green Bowler Cafe, the Chameleon Coffee Bar, Mods and Rockers in the 60s, Beatniks, or even Ron the Barber that Kenny was talking about. If you've got a memory, I'd love to hear from you. Do give us a call, 0116 251 1049, or send me a text, 81333, with the word Leicester at the beginning of the message.